unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time.
What the fuck happened to Jordan Peterson? Let's talk about that. Like, literally, what happened to him? Look what he's become. This guy in a flashy suit, lighting, very carefully crafted seating positions. He's just, I don't know. I've never seen a guy turn from a hero to despicable faster. Well, it wasn't that fast, actually. How about more completely than Jordan Peterson? But I mean, what the fuck happened? I have some theories. You want to have fun and just have some theories? This is going to be fun. This is the Israel Mossad Talmudery management theories. But it's a real thing, you know. You've got a group of people, let's call them Mormons, right? Mormon people, they share a certain set of values. And they get the values from the Book of Values. They call it the Book of Mormon. And the Doctrine and Covenants and the Pearl of Great Price. These three books contain the instruction manuals on how to be a good human being. And you're taught them from the time you're young. You know? Catholics have a set of rules. So do Jewish people. And those books are the Torah, the Talmud, and some other ones that aren't as important, and they're more offshoots. What is it? The Kabbalah. Anyway, so within these books, you get a lot of set of values. And if you're taught from them directly, you're going to directly know what the values are. You're going to have special princess syndrome. You're the chosen tribe. You must have dominion over the earth, blah, blah, blah. We've gone over this kind of stuff before. But even if you're not taught them directly, if you live within the culture, you're going to get stuff secondhand. You know, the culture is going to come secondhand. Now, I'm not part of that culture. I wasn't raised Jewish. I was raised Mormon, you know. But I know how Mormons behave. You know, Mormons are a proselyting religion. Your job is to convert people. You know, even people that are the sinners. Love the sinner, hate the sin, you know. Anyway, so Jordan Peterson comes out, and he just arrives on the scene and suddenly, miraculously, inspires countless thousands of young, mostly white Christian males into getting back into Christianity. And this is a guy, you know, he's a professor that decides he doesn't want to call trans people by whatever pronouns they choose. I loved it. I thought, hey, that's great. That's the way you're supposed to do it. You can't allow somebody to force you to speak the way they want you to speak. You can't allow anybody to force you into buying into their fantasy. That's just obviously wrong. So obvious. It's super obvious. It's crazy to me that anybody ever went along with it. But he was a guy that stood up to it, and everybody loved him for it. And then he had this way of talking about Christian values and the scriptures and stuff in a way that made it palatable maybe to people who had decided that it was just all hocus pocus. Like even people like me. It's just like, I don't have any time for Bible stories and all this shit, you know. But suddenly you get this guy, and he's breaking down the parables into maybe more academic language so that assholes who think they're smart can still think they're smart while also finding value in the Bible, you know. So he draws a lot of people in, and a lot of people are suddenly looking at this Christianity thing, this Jesus thing, and taking it seriously, right? Well, here's the big secret that I guess that I shouldn't need to explain to anybody, but Christ is the enemy of Judaism, and especially Talmudery. You know, he's a Jesus Christ to a good Jew is a blasphemous, terrible figure who's burning in hell. You know, this idea that Jews and Christians are, oh, we're the same. We have the Old Testament, blah, blah, blah. It's based on the same stuff. And no, 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 no. They're diametrically opposed, you know. So anyway, you got Jordan Peterson out there just filling stadiums. It's insane. What happened to Jordan Peterson is nothing less than crazy. It's insane that people filled stadiums just to hear this guy give an intellectual spin on the Bible, aka making people feel smart for having Christian values. You know, because if you grew up, I'm 57 years old, and if there's been a culture, American culture has spent the last how many decades trying to make you feel dumb for having Christian values or Christian beliefs. I was part of that. I'm guilty as charged. When I got out of Christianity, out of Mormonism, I went around with all this air in my chest, thinking I was, I'm so much smarter. You people believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Jesus is the same thing. You know, I did that for many years. I'm a little bit embarrassed about it now, but not that much, because I was reacting against a lot of stuff within that culture that also isn't good, you know, judgmental types of things, and the unwillingness to consider things. You know, there's a lot of things to not like about organized religion. But, you know, a lot of us go too far and we overcorrect, you know, in our reaction against it. We overcorrect. I treated a lot of people poorly, you know. Dummy, I can't be friends with somebody who believes in Jesus. You know, honestly, that's kind of still true, but it applies because I just can't really be friends with people who believe in anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Especially when the options are you can hang out with birds and squirrels and animals that don't have opinions. Or their opinions are very on the level. Want peanuts. Will be nice for peanuts. Not a lot more depth there. But anyway, so he comes out and he makes all these people that have been walking around with air in their chest, thinking they're holier than thou or unholier than thou. You know, when you suddenly become above religion, and you think you're better than religion. Well, this guy starts pulling people back, you know, starts making them see it in a different way. And it's very effective, hence the filling of stadiums. You know, and you watch it go, and even in those times you're thinking, I was thinking, oh man, I don't know, this is kind of not going so well. I was liking it, but it was a little bit uncomfortable when he was crying all the time, you know, about his influence. But I will say that it seemed pretty honest when he would cry about giving young people hope, you know, and his interactions. It seemed honest. But then all of a sudden, Jordan Peterson falls off the map. And we hear that he's addicted to benzodiazepines. What do you call them? Benzos? Drugs. He's addicted to drugs. He disappears. He has this carnivore thing. His daughter gets a bunch of plastic surgery. She's all carnivore. All of a sudden they're talking about this weird diet shit. All these weird spooky stories about being in Romania or some other Eastern Bloc country, I can't remember. And being on these benzos and almost dying, and his wife almost dying, and everybody in the family almost dying, and his daughter possibly hooking up with Andrew Tate. And then him signing a contract with CAA, a Hollywood management and an agency, a talent agent, and he starts buying these flashy suits, 3-piece suits, kind of like the ones I used to wear, you know? And my first thing was, oh boy, fame is going to his head, you know? Then he comes back and he signs a deal with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Caller. And all of a sudden I don't know, you see this yesterday, he came out with this big screed against the phrase, Christ is King. As if saying that is anti-Semitic. And of course, it can be used that way. Well, it can't be used that way. If somebody believes it, if somebody believes that Christ is King, then their belief is automatically, obviously, against those who believe the opposite. You know, if you believe that Christ is burning in hell and you say Christ is King, well, then you're saying, I don't agree with you people. It's not necessarily against their genetics or anything like that. It's just you believe your way, I believe my way. But to have Jordan Peterson, you've watched him, right? I mean, he blocked me because I called him a drug addict. You know, he came out and, because he was all this free speech. His whole thing, his whole rise to fame was free speech. You will not control my speech. You will not control my speech, right? But then all of a sudden he did a 180 and made a big carve out, except you can't say mean things about Jews or Israel or anything related. And he went on these big emotional tirades that I wasn't buying. That's the difference. It's like, I bought it when he cried about his influence, about, the kids that he was helping. But when he got emotional about, this is anti-Semitism, it's Nazism rearing its ugly head, and I was just like, okay, now you're dipping your toe into performances. This is all seeming like a play, And interestingly, this was after he signed with CAA, after he signed a contract with Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro, come on. We know Ben Shapiro is Israeli Jewish first. He's not America first. Anybody who watches him, you can like him. I overlap with him on lots of things. I agree with Ben Shapiro a lot. Seems like it would be fun to go on a road trip with Ben Shapiro. I think I could actually debate him and win in a much more slow way. It'd be, and I'd be like, okay, relax, Ben. As if that's possible. He can't relax. Guy's so wound up. But yeah, he signed on with them. And now it's like, to have him come out and just make a big screed, to have him go out against Candace, because here's the big theory. Here's the big theory. Is it true? Is it not true? I don't know. But again, let's compare it with Mormon culture. Mormon culture is to go out and convert your enemies, to bring them into the fold. The best way to deal with an enemy is to make them your friend, and even better, to make them your protector. I kind of used to use that technique even after I was out of Mormonism, when I was just a scenester, going out getting drunk at bars and shit in San Francisco. Guys that were jealous that I was taking pictures of naked ladies and all that stuff. I would just pummel them with questions. When I knew that they were aggressive towards me and didn't like me, I would pummel them with questions about their life, find out what they were, and let them talk about themselves. And wouldn't you know it, within an hour, I could turn that potential enemy into kind of a bodyguard almost, And And I'll admit, I wasn't. This wasn't a good thing for me to do. It was just they shouldn't have been coming at me anyway. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. I probably shouldn't have been taking pictures of their girlfriends naked. Okay, it's probably a legitimate beef that people have with people photographing hundreds of women nude. But I digress. So the whole thing about handling people. How do you handle them? How do you make them your friends? Well, there's lots of different ways you can handle somebody. You can just become their friend. Like even when I was an influential guy in San Francisco, my star was rising. I suddenly was surrounded by a bunch of loving, fun Jewish people. You know, they all approached me, and well, lots of people did. You know, but there was a surprising number of Jewish people that approached me. And I'm perfectly happy with that. Some of my best friends still, I mean, like I said, I don't really maintain friendships, but some of my best memories of friends come from my memories of friendships that were with my Jewish friends. You know, I don't talk to most people anymore, including them, but it's not a special case. It's just, that's the way it is. But is it part of the culture? I mean, it's part of sort of American culture and just kind of wisdom culture. You know, you hear all these things that surround yourself with people that are doing better than you are. Always make sure you're the dumbest guy in the room, not the smartest guy in the room, because that's how you lift yourself up. So that kind of success-based Tony Robbins kind of shit, that's not just specific to Jewish culture. But it is, you know, if you're a Jewish American, you're not only privy to American culture, but Jewish culture as well. And so, you know, I don't know enough about Jewish culture to know exactly what happens when what are the songs they sing when they're young and all that stuff. I don't have access to that, but I do have access to the Mormon stuff, and the Mormons consider themselves to be Jews. So there's a corollary there, I guess. But yeah, I found myself surrounded by people like this, and some of them were very well connected. You know, their parents connected with Hillary Clinton, just, you know. And some of my Jewish friends are billionaires, you know. When I say friends, I say loosely. It's not like we're boating and stuff, but they're coming to my house, going to my party. I go to their party, we exchange emails, blah, blah, blah. You know, high fives and shit like that. But and it all seems organic, you know, and you want it to seem organic because you don't want to think that people are just being your friends with you because you have influence. You want to think, well, they like me because I'm likable. They like me because I'm a cool motherfucker. Of course they like me. They should like me. Everybody likes me. I'm fucking awesome. I'm fucking fantastic. Why wouldn't they like me? You know? So if you try to reduce it into, they only like me because of this. Okay, but here's the weird thing. Is some of these Jewish friends of mine, and this is a strange thing that I've wondered about over the years. You know, I thought, is it a cultural thing? Because I'm not a really good person. I'm kind of a bad person. I'm definitely not a good friend. I'm a bad friend. I'm mean. I'm impatient. I don't put up with a lot of bullshit. I'll tell you immediately if you're annoying me, and I'll tell you why you're annoying me, and I'll tell you to stop annoying me, and I'll be mean to you in hopes that you go away. You know, like when I'm mean to somebody, I'm not mean to somebody in order to try to control them and bring them in, you know, because there's that weird narcissist thing where you're mean to somebody to try to control them. When I'm mean to somebody, it's because I hope that they lose my phone number and go away, you know. But what I found with a lot of my Jewish friends is that doesn't work. It just doesn't work, you know. Like my friend who lives in Israel, you know, I like her, but I'm mean to her. I am mean. I talk about how stupid it is that she's an ethno-nationalist, that Zionism is the dumbest fucking thing in the world, and Netanyahu's a piece of shit, and blah, 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 you know. No holds barred. And she's cool with it, you know. That's what I find with a lot of my Jewish friends is it's not like they have, not mine anyway, they don't have thin skin, you know? And I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed being able to be very frank with them, you know? But it also makes me wonder, I go, why aren't they giving up on me? Why won't they give up on me? You know, for example, this one friend of mine, she, after me being mean, I called her a cheapskate because I let her stay in my Airbnb and, you know, she like tipped next to nothing and stayed there for a number of days. And I called her a cheapskate, you know. She was a cheapskate. It's like, oh, I just got a free stay for you and your family. You know that I do this for money and I need the money to pay the mortgage, but, you know, took the freebie, took advantage of me, you know. And I told her this, and it's just like, oh, I didn't know you thought that. Ouch, you know. Anyway, but, you know, I'm mean to her about that, and she comes back with a list of why I like Merkley, a long list of reasons why I like Merkley. I'm like, oh my God, this is like impossible. You know what I mean? It's impossible. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of her as a friend. I don't. But I don't want to have dishonest. There's nothing I like less than sitting there and grinning and holding my tongue. This is why I can't be friends with people most of the time. It's why I don't go to weddings. It's why I don't go to funerals. It's why I don't go to anything, because I don't know how to shut the fuck up. I don't. I'm not good at it. When I try to do it, I feel like I'm going to explode. I feel like I'm going to die. The time slows down to 1 minute feels like an eternity when I'm holding my tongue, you know? And I'm a people pleaser, so I'm inclined to want to do that. But I hate it, and so I decide, no, I'm just not going to go hang out with these people because I'm going to start talking about some political bullshit, and I'm going to ruin their funeral or their party or their wedding or whatever. You know, it's either that or I sit there with my mouth shut and feel like I'm dying of cancer for the entire time. And I'm too selfish to do that. So I just spare everybody the problem and I stay home. I don't go, you know? Or I just speak frankly. And I do that with some of these friends. And some of my Jewish friends, I'll have to say, the tenacity for staying in my sphere is a little bit bewildering, and I don't know why it is. I'm certainly not influential enough anymore to merit being handled or managed. You know, going back to Jordan Peterson, when you sign with CAA or a Hollywood agency, you are signing up with Jewish people, you know? I don't know if they're Talmudic people. I don't know if they're Judaists. But that building and those people, that the percentage, it's undeniable. If you're managed by Hollywood agency, you're managed by Jewish people. Literally managed by Jewish people, you know? And they end up being the go-between. So they're the filter. I had an agent once, and you don't know. You have no idea. If you hand off your business to somebody else to manage it, you don't know what opportunities are coming in and what he's passing on. They become this de facto wall between you and the rest of the world, where they can decide, I don't want you doing that anymore. I don't want you doing that anymore. But do this. I'll get you extra money for doing this job, and that way I can keep you happy. I can keep you paid off. You think I'm doing your business, but maybe I'm preventing you from doing a bunch of things you would rather do. But you don't know what phone calls aren't being taken. You don't know what no's are being sent out on your behalf. So Jordan Peterson signed up for that, you know? Anyway, I'm dancing around the topic. He comes out and he starts bashing Candace Owens. And Candace Owens, by the way, another rising star. And because she was a rising star, who attached themselves to her most quickly? First guy was Dave Rubin. I like Dave Rubin, you know, Jewish guy, Jewish gay guy. He's the one that kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to give him credit because the credit for Candace being Candace goes to Candace, you know, and Rubin saw that. Now, did Rubin see it and agree with her and go, "Oh, I like her. I want to platform her because she's awesome"? I think that's probably true, but the possibility exists that he was like, "Oh, well, let me get her." You know, and again, is it consciously doing that or is it subconsciously doing that? You know, when you find yourself the moth to the flame sort of a thing. It's like, I don't know why I'm attracted to the flame. I'm just going, you know. I think it's probably a lot of that, but is that cultural too? You know, that drive for success to be around, oh, that person's interesting and that person's going places. I want to be part of that. You know, that can be kind of icky, but also sincere. Like who doesn't want to be friends with somebody who's really great at what they do? I don't really want to be friends with Michael Jordan, but I certainly wouldn't pass up an opportunity to have lunch with him, you know, and discuss things. Whereas I would pass up opportunity to have lunch with lots of other people and do. And honestly, I might pass up lunch with Michael Jordan, quite frankly, thinking about it right now. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then the day comes near, it's just like, you know what? I think I might be out of town. I wish it could work out. Would be really fun, but, you know, anyway. But Candace got managed. Or, it's fair to look at it like that. Ben Shapiro, all those people, they came around, tried to manage Candace. But Candace doesn't seem like she's manageable. Candace is a loose cannon. This is why she's so awesome. This is why I like her. You know, so everybody knows the split that they had with Candace. Candace wants to criticize Israel. Fair, that's fair. Should be able to criticize Israel. It's fair to criticize Christianity. It's fair to criticize the U.S. It's also fair to criticize Israel, the Talmud, the culture, whatever, every single aspect of it, including genetics. Now, it's an ugly topic, but it's completely valid to look at a species, a genus of a species, and go, why are sheepdogs like that? And why are bulldogs like that? Why are black people like that? Why are Jews like that? You know, why are Jews like Jerry Seinfeld? Why? It's okay to ask those questions. Nobody is beyond curiosity, conversation, criticism. Nobody. Anybody that tries to be should be scrutinized even more. Even more. The more somebody says, don't you criticize me, just like, okay, keep saying that. You're going to get criticized more. You know. But it didn't work with Candace. And Candace hasn't said anything in her support of Christianity or in her criticisms of Israel that is in any way bombacious. Bombacious? Is that even a word? Bombastic? I like bombacious. But yet Jordan Peterson comes out and he's doing that phony performative, oh, she's the worst and blah, blah, blah. These people, you know. I'm like, really? Candace Owens? You're going after Candace Owens? And this kind of came out of nowhere, this whole new rise of the Christ is King thing. You remember the first round, right? Where James Lindsay and all those people were saying, don't say Christ is King, that's anti-Semitic. It's like, how can that's like me saying that you wearing your yarmulke is anti-Christian. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. anti-Christian for you to wave your Star of David anywhere. Anywhere. You're waving the flag of murdering my king. This would be what the Christians might say, That's fair. And it might be fair for them to say, saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic. This is where I just go, so what? Who cares? I don't care if it is anti-Semitic. I don't care if it's racist. I don't care if it's anti-Christian. I don't care if it's anti-Jewish or anti-this or anti-that. I don't care if it's anti-puppy, anti-dog, anti-up or anti-down. It's okay to be anti-something because it's okay to be wrong about something. It's okay to have a preference. It's okay to say, no, I don't want to date short people. Anyway. But yeah, so down the rabbit hole. So it seems pretty obvious that Jordan Peterson has been handled, whether it seems like he willingly walked into handling things because this idea that the only way to handle somebody is by scaring them and threatening them and debanking them, that certainly works. Calling them names. But it doesn't seem like that is working as much anymore. That ship has kind of come and gone because of Elon Musk opening up the doors to free speech. The conversation's being had, people can have it now, so it's not working as much. So you kind of just got to call them bad names. They're Nazis, they're terrible. I think they're trying to handle things any way they possibly can, through money, through flattery. I mean, look what happened to Elon at first, when he first bought Twitter. The ADL was all over him, boycott, take away all of his advertising, try to get the government to shut him down, all these different things. The ADL just really went after him. And at first it seemed like, Elon was being like, okay, hold on, we'll just try to do this. He appointed some guy from the ADL to be part of the Trust and Safety Commission. That went horribly wrong. Then they were calling him anti-Semitic, this and that. Hate speech is on the rise. Nazi it's a profile. It's a platform for, white supremacy. Okay, I still want to do free speech. But anyway, every time they tried to smack him down, from my view, he got a little bit more like, are you kidding me? Are you doing this? But Elon's not stupid. He lets Kanye back on, lets Nick Fuentes back on, lets all these other people on in the name of free speech. But in the meantime, he's like, yeah, I'll go to Israel. I'll hang out with Ben Shapiro. I'll go over and touch your crying wall. I'll wear your little hat if you want me to. I would. Give me a free trip. I'll put on your little hat. I'll shake your hand. I don't care. I'm not worried about your cooties. I don't believe in cooties. I'll shake anybody's hand. I don't care, especially if I got a pistol in my pocket. But so I see, I'm watching what's going on now. I'm seeing, Netanyahu buying Teslas, and they changed their tactics from calling him names to defending him because sometimes you figure out, if you're smart, you figure out what's not working, And Elon it's not going to work for Netanyahu to call Trump's best friend, his little buddy, his little adopted stepson, a Nazi. That's not going to work. So, hey, we're going to buy Teslas. Photo op. Look, we're friends. Look, we're friends. Look, we're friends. Here's a list of 20 reasons why I love Elon Musk from signed Netanyahu. To me, it looks like handling. Now, getting into the dark stuff with Jordan Peterson. Remember when he disappeared? Was on drugs? Meat diet, almost died. His wife almost died. Everybody almost died. Did he get handled that way? Did he get Epsteined? You know? I don't know. This is, again, theories. So just, we're speculating here, you know? But it's not hard to imagine a government group, a secret government group, the CIA, Mossad, FBI. We've seen the evil that they do. We've seen how they did J6. We've seen how they did the Whitmer plot. We've seen Gulf of Tonkin. We've seen all these different, sorry, I'm going to sound like Alex Jones, but we've seen the false flags. We've seen them. You know, all these things that used to be like, oh, that's conspiracy. We've seen that these things are true. We watched them try to lynch Donald Trump and put him in jail for 300 years. We watched it happen. You know, it's no longer this, oh, that's just a theory. You don't have any proof. No, we watched it happen. We saw it happen. We saw a bullet graze Donald Trump's ear. You know, whose bullet was it? Who's the money behind it? We're seeing people light Teslas on fire and spray paint Nazi crosses on them. We see them doing that now. We don't know who. Who is it? I don't know. Trace the money back. Is it all Soros? Is it more than Soros? Is it Mossad? Imagine, though, if you know, right now I'm seeing in the Elon phase with all these guys cozying up to Elon, we're going to buy Teslas, you know? And Elon's doing the smart thing and going, okay, yeah, because, you know, Elon, I don't think Elon has any racial animosity towards Jewish people racially. He probably has cultural problems with the way he's been treated, you know, in his life. How could he not be angry with the ADL and AIPAC and all these other people that have really gone after him? How can he not be angry with George Soros and having his stores being burned down? You know, how could he be not angry with Blinken and Garland and Mayorkas? How could he not be angry with them? You know? But he's smiling, taking pictures. I'm besties. Go ahead and order my Teslas. You know, use my Starlink or whatever. But you can imagine a phase where it moves on from this phase where somebody sends a picture of a looming figure over his son's bed. You know, I'm being very speculative. I'm writing a Hollywood script right now, you know, but you can imagine it. And so I'm not saying that's what's happening, but the way Jordan Peterson is behaving, and when you look at his secret year off in some Eastern Bloc country, on the verge of death, certain that he was going to die, certain that his wife was going to die, addicted to drugs, you know, his daughter, all this weird shit with his daughter. And he comes back with a different twist. No longer is he trying to inspire kids, young males, young white males. He's no longer trying to inspire them to dig into Christianity. Instead, he's spending all of his time criticizing those people. It's like a 180. Christ is king, my ass. Interesting. The new suits. I don't know. Did he get MK Ultra'd? What happened? You know what they tried to do to Kanye? That Harley Patter, what's his name? His trainer. Evil. Oh, God, did you read those texts? You know, Kanye's an interesting case, for sure. Interesting dude. Nobody's telling him what to do. He's got lots of problems. The drug usage is obviously stupid. The porn is weird. Millions of things not to like about Kanye. But also, you kind of got to understand, you got to go, how would I be reacting? Like, I love the swastika shirt. It's like, that's what you do. When a bunch of people come after you and say, you can't do this, you go, fuck you, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it just for no other reason than you told me not to. You don't get to tell me what to do. And I'm going to prove it. And I've got the money to do it. Go ahead and try to destroy me. I'm self-destructive anyway. I want you to, some of it seems like death by cop in a way, And you can kind of understand it. I can. I just go, I get it. You're being treated badly. When your own personal trainer, your own manager says, you better do what I tell you, or I'm going to get you committed, and I'm going to put you on so many drugs, you won't even recognize your children. That's a legit thing. That really happened. That is evil. And then when they follow through and they do that and they take your kids away from you, look, his descent into hell, to me, makes sense. How could you not descend into hell, given all the circumstances, the money? I don't even want to get into that. But so you look at that, and that was an outward visible thing, and people could make the case they did that to Kanye. They committed him. They put him on drugs. They basically dragged him away, dragged him off stage. I'm exaggerating. Dragged him off stage in his little red hat, kicking and screaming, and put him on drugs to change his attitude. And drugs work. You can make somebody. You've seen the Awakenings. You've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. If somebody's doing something you don't like, you can have them committed and hopped up on drugs and locked away as a crazy person in an insane asylum. And all I'm asking is, what does it look like on the other side of that? We know what it looks like for Kanye. And I'm saying maybe we know what it looks like. Maybe we're witnessing what it looks like with Jordan Peterson. Let's be honest. Jordan Peterson isn't a Kanye. Kanye is a, for lack of a better term, a braggadocio badass. And you can imagine Kanye being able to handle his own in a fist fight. He might not be the greatest, but he's no Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's a weakling. Anybody could take on Jordan Peterson. Nobody's going to back down from a physical fight with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is not going to raise his hands towards you at all. He is a physical weakling, and maybe even a spiritual weakling, after this imaginary kidnapping that I'm talking about, that isn't actually imaginary. He did disappear. He was drugged up. His family was, according to him and others, on the edge of death. Who did that? Was it all Jordan Peterson's making? Or were there managers and handlers involved? We know that he's under the umbrella of Ben Shapiro now and the Daily Wire. It's not like he's not under their umbrella. It'd be one thing if he was just, fuck you, I don't need any agents. If he pulled a Bill Murray and said, no, if you want to talk to me, you got to come to my house and hand me a letter, hand me a script. It'd be one thing if he did that, but he didn't do that. He bought into the whole system of management, the Hollywood management system, and he still is part of it with the Daily Wire. And what is he saying? He's calling Candace Owens, that loose cannon, Candace Owens, an anti-Semite, a danger, an extremist. He knows it's not true. You know it's not true. Nobody's going to look at Candace Owens and call her extremist unless they're a liar. There's nothing extremist about her. She might enjoy a salacious story. She might be wrong about some things, but she's probably right about a lot of things too. And that's the problem. That's the problem. You don't get in trouble for being wrong. You get in trouble for being right. And Jordan Peterson was right when he started out. You know, that's what got him in trouble. And from my perspective, it looks like his way out of it is by doing the bidding of those that, I don't know, maybe kidnapped him, maybe drugged him, maybe made him face his mortality. This is what we can do, Jordan. Do you want door number 1, where you have fame and fortune and jets and specially tailored suits? Or door number 2, where we drug you up to a point that your children don't recognize you? Harley Paternick, I think. Paternick? Pastor Chenick? Something, I don't know. That was Kanye's handler. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening.